Welcome to an introduction tutorial of Kothar's workshop. And before we jump into it, please feel free to join our Discord community. You'll see a button at the top right-hand corner. It is a link to its invitation. Our developers will be active there, including myself. So if you have any questions or feedback, the discussion will be lively. And of course, as the community grows, there will be more and more people to talk to about Aleph and Kothar's workshop. So at first glance, what Kothar's workshop looks like is it looks like an IDE. But it's definitely more than that. On the left, you'll see a few tabs to open. The first tab is for files. This is hosted in the cloud, so you'll be able to access them from any computer that you log into Kothar's workshop from, whether that be your laptop, a university workstation, so on and so forth. The platform acts as your neutral orchestration layer for all the different types of compute that you have access to. And our tools know how to reach into the cloud and grab the files that you want to work with. So like any other file explorer, you can create files, you can create folders, and so on. And of course, you can upload files. Currently, new files are restricted to just Aleph files, but eventually the workshop will support workflows for math typesetting, plotting, visualization, data processing, and so on. And so we'll be adding more and more supports to the platform to help you do your research. Our goal here is to capture your research from idea to publication. So there's a lot to add to this environment. So you can actually click the upload button and upload any type of file. We might just not have a way for you to view it or interact with it yet. The next tab is the search tab. This tab is self-explanatory. The more files you have, the more you might have a difficulty finding what you want to find. The next tab is jobs. On the platform, we support 2 compute paradigms, which I'll discuss a little bit later in the video. But just looking here, this tab tracks the jobs that you have submitted, which are like scheduled executions of code. So if I click this, what you see is the platform tracked a job that I submitted. It gives you the date and time, how long the job took, etc. So this will be sort of the standard way that you interact with scientific computing clusters or cloud compute. You can also monitor a job while it's occurring. The last tab, and the most important tab probably, is the agents tab. Agents are how you hook the platform up to the compute resources that you have access to. For the beta, we've given you access to 3 compute agents. So do with them as you please. You can see that I've set my 3 up to work with 2 of Kothar's workstations and my laptop. Agents sit actively on your computer, kind of like how a Dropbox or a Google Drive app would sit on your computer. From this, we can ensure your programs are fully updated, have all of the correct installations and dependencies all in one environment. And of course, so that you can use the resources that you have at your disposal. So let's set one up. I'm going to delete my laptop agent. For now, setting up an agent is a little bit clunky. It'll get better over time. But the setup process is actually really easy. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to click Create Agent, and I'm going to call mine Laptop again. And here you're going to see a bunch of instructions. For now, the platform relies on you having Docker installed on your computer. So if you haven't already installed Docker, I recommend going to Docker Desktop and installing the version of Docker that corresponds to your operating system. So if you don't have Docker installed on your system, go follow the instructions on their website. If you are on Linux or you have WSL installed on your system, you could alternatively install it directly from the command line. Once you install Docker Desktop, you should land in a UI that looks like the following. If Docker didn't automatically open up onto the Containers tab, I recommend you navigate there now. And if you navigate to the bottom of the Docker Desktop application, you can open up a terminal. Then go back to our website and copy and paste the command that we gave you. If you click on the agent, now that it's installed, you can see what it's doing. So it connected to our API, and now you're connected to Kothar's workshop. And if we navigate back to our web application, you can see that the agent is now connected and your Kothar's workshop can talk to it. Eventually, this process will be simpler, but we're curious to see like if there's any frictions onboarding people through this process. So definitely send us feedback if you found this process difficult or if you found it easy. Your environment should have been preloaded with a file. So that file on my system is under test, and it's called aleph.aleph. It is a very long file that includes lots and lots of examples of how to use Aleph. And so now what you can do is you can run this file. So to run it, I have to go and I have to select which machine I want to run the code on. So let's click laptop to show that things are actually working. So clicking laptop, and now I'm going to run the code. The first time that you execute code on a machine, it's going to download the Aleph runtime. So there will be a tiny delay before your code can start as it downloads the runtime. This only happens when you first set up an agent or when we've pushed an update to an agent. And so you can see here, all of your outputs will always tell you how long the total process took and how long the script took to execute. So we've executed the code. Now is a good time to talk about the two different compute paradigms that we support. The first one is what I just did. It's direct execution. You should use this mode when you want to execute something quickly, codes that should take seconds to minutes. Next up, though, we have job scheduling. This is to manage the resources you allocate to longer workloads. So you can set a timeout, can tell us how many threads you want to allocate to the process, and you can also set the amount of memory the process can fetch. Scheduling jobs is the primary format that you will use when you're putting code on a scientific computing cluster, for example. So if you haven't already, I encourage you to run aleph.aleph with direct execution and with a scheduled job. There are also a couple of other editor features here that you can explore. One is you can manually save your file. Files will be saved every time you do click run. But if you want to save it without running it, you have to click the save button. Next is you can, of course, split your editor and work from a split environment. So now that you've seen the compute environment and what it is today, let's talk about the docs. So if you open up the docs, you'll see a couple tabs at the top: Learning Center, Aleph 101, Library Reference, the Forge, and the changelog. You'll also see these tabs here down at the bottom that correspond to the first four. To get started with Aleph, I recommend starting either with Learning Center or Aleph 101. The Learning Center is going to be full of concept explainers that are core to the language design and the frameworks within it, as well as worked tutorial examples. Aleph 101, on the other hand, is a full crash course in all of Aleph's basics, all of its syntax and basic functionalities. The next is the library reference. We're going to explore all of these, by the way. I'll click through to show you. The library reference is the thing that you would expect to exist for any language. It's a comprehensive list of all of the functionality that Aleph has. So if you want to know a function signature, for example, it will be in the library reference, and it will be pointed to from the search engine if you look for something. Next is the Forge, and it contains all of the tutorials, and it contains all of the information you'll need to know about the full environment, from the platform itself to the agents and our data models and APIs. It's not ready yet, but you will be able to call into the platform from Python, for example. And finally, we have the changelog. We will be updating Aleph and the workshop and the entire environment pretty regularly in the early days. Our goal is to release a new version of each every week. So zeroing in on the Learning Center, the Learning Center is telling you key concepts associated to Aleph and all of its associated packages. Aleph comes out of the box with a comprehensive linear algebra suite. It also comes out of the box with a number of quantum many-body physics functionalities. And on top of this, this is also where we are going to put our tutorials. For now, there are 3 tutorials. In the future, there are going to be many. We've just gotten started on this process, and our goal is to make people starting projects have an easy entry point by looking at a tutorial. Next is Aleph 101. Aleph today is an interpreted language, but we've designed it to be compatible with modern compiler technology, so it won't always be interpreted. Aleph 101 gives you a full crash course into the language and how to use it. If you're familiar with Python, for example, it's going to be very easy to pick up this language. The language is as easy as Python, but has a number of design advantages over it. So if you're going to spend time in the documents, I recommend spending time on these first two tabs. Next is the library reference. So this is the comprehensive reference for everything Aleph and all of its functionality. And again, this documentation is the formal documentation. So if you want to see a function signature, for example, this is the place to do it. Next is the Forge documentation. This is where you go for everything that isn't Aleph on the platform today. So things like security and compliance, information on this. Eventually here, we will have documentation for APIs to call into the platform and use this from, say, Python, information on agents, workshop, and so on. Finally, we have the changelog. At the time of making this video, the first version of Aleph and the workshop is going live tomorrow. So currently this is an empty page, but this is where we will update you on what we're changing and what we're upgrading and what we're adding. So that is the final part of the tour of the work of Kothar's workshop and Aleph and all of the associated tooling surrounding it. Now I want to briefly discuss with you the future of this technology and why I think you should stick with us going forward. Aleph today, I think, already has a lot of value. It has a lot of initial infrastructure that makes quantum many-body physics simulation very easy. And of course, our routines are very fast, at least the ones that we focused on. There's a few things in the platform right now that aren't threaded or vectorized, but that will change over time. Our goal for Aleph is to grow it into the scientific computing language of the future. And no language that tries to fit that mold can do so without natively supporting things like GPU acceleration and eventually working with quantum computers. And we want to support all of these while making it very easy for you to use these resources. We also have a lot of plans for the platform and how we can improve your scientific research workflow. Things like AI features, visualization software, collaboration features, and so on. My goal here is to make every step in your research easier. One platform, one environment from idea to publication. To give this to the community, it's going to be a long road, but what you're seeing today, we accomplished in 1 year of development. By this time next year, any code you write today will probably be 10 times or even 100 times faster, without you having to lift a finger a year from now to change it. This is through things like Aleph optimizations and supporting compiling. We have really big goals, and sticking around also means you'll be able to give us feedback and influence the directions and features that we choose to support and prioritize. We want to make scientific computing as accessible as possible while also leveling up the whole community. So please enjoy the platform and definitely say hi to me if you see me in the Discord channel.